We're delighted to have her with us today. And that's Miss Stacy Rebecca Pace Esquire, and she's of the Pace Group PLLC.
Hi everyone, how are you guys today?
Hello, dear.
Good? Well, I should be pretty efficient in my presentation. I know you guys probably want to get out there and start the weekend. I know that I'm at the end. But I just wanted to start off talking a little bit about what I do and then open it up for questions from you all. If there's anything that you guys have a question about in terms of the law, in terms of credit, in terms of some of the legal issues surrounding home ownership, I would definitely be interested in receiving your questions and then throwing out answers. Usually what happens is that someone hears something and either they've been thinking about this legal issue or they have a friend that's been thinking about this legal issue, and then it starts a conversation about it. Anyway, so what I do, I've been in business for, how long? Almost 10 years. And we do 3 areas: family law, real estate law, and bankruptcy and finance. So those 2 areas kind of together. In terms of family law, of course, we do obviously DC and Maryland law, but we do divorce, custody, all of that. Bankruptcy, we do the Chapter 7 and Chapter 13. Real estate, we do all sorts of fun things. We do litigation when people have a homeowners association, a condo association that isn't doing right by them. So a lot of times people they're excited about getting a new home, and then they realize that the homeowners association is not making the proper repairs, either to common facilities or to their individual units. There's actually a lot of litigation in that area that people don't realize until they actually buy the property. What else do we do? Easements. In case you might be interested in a property, there might be an easement. Someone else might have some right to go onto your land or some other rights on property that you thought that you had the entire possession and control over. Another area that we do regularly is home renovations. A lot of times people contact contractors out here who may or may not know what they're doing. And they either don't do the job they should do, maybe they do a bad job, maybe they abscond with their money, many different things, and they have to be sued. Or sometimes we litigate, it doesn't always have to go to a lawsuit, but those are the kinds of things that we do. In the area of bankruptcy with Chapter 13, it may not always happen, it may not always get into bankruptcy, but definitely we talk about finances. We talk about, one, do you need to file? If you do need to file, what type of filing is it going to be? Is it a Chapter 7 or is it a Chapter 13? There are a lot of differences there. We talk about if you can avoid it or if you should avoid it. For example, sometimes people think that maybe bankruptcy is the end of the world, but it's really not. Our current president has filed for bankruptcy multiple times, and he's president. So definitely, it's a tool. It's a tool in your toolbox to use. We talk about how expensive it is for credit. Well, credit card interest. I mean, they're not giving you a lot of interest in banks anymore. 1% less. But for credit cards, what is the going rate on interest rate for credit cards? Into the credit card, 18%, 20%. That's a lot of money. Especially if you get into a bind, whether it's for maybe a divorce, maybe you got sick, maybe you lost your job, and all of those things usually are no fault of your own, really. And then you have to go to, or you're forced to go into taking credit cards to eat, How can people blame you for just getting food? Before you know it, you could rack up $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 in credit card debt, which is doable if you have a good term and a nice rate from a proper bank. But when you're dealing with MasterCard or American Express or any of these other lenders, $20,000 20, 25, 28% on a credit card bill is crushing. Especially when you compound the interest, fees, and penalties, it could take a decade more to pay it off at the minimum. So when you think about it that way, bankruptcy is a tool. So over at the housing fair, so you got to think about, okay, if I want to buy a house, let's say I have a goal for myself and I want to buy a house in maybe I want to buy a house in 5 years, let's say. There are many reasons why someone might want to buy a house. One, you could want to buy a house because everybody else is doing it. Not the best reason, but usually owning something is good, right? A reason why it's good is because you can take advantage of passive, you can gain equity in a way that's passive. That's what the rich people do. They don't really do that at 95, a lot of them. They have investments. Your house is an investment. So, you buy a house, you buy low, which is what you normally do with investments. You want to buy low, sell high, right? So you buy a house 10 years ago, keep it, maintain it. Years later, now you can sell it for 500, 600. That's kind of what's happening in DC and Peachey County, actually. And you have people that have lived in the same neighborhood for a very long time. They bought it low. Maybe they bought it for 110, sometimes less. Then the neighborhood becomes hot, right? And then there's issues with gentrification and the fact that different people are coming into their neighborhood, which can sometimes be a complication to things for some people. But the other side of it, if you look at your home as purely an investment, you've gotten a lot of money now. You haven't sold your home, you haven't realized that you're not taxed on it yet. But if you bought your home for 100, let's say you paid it down, maybe you only owe 80 now, and maybe the home's 500,000 and you live somewhere in Brooklyn or Petworth or somewhere like that. That's money. Now you have options, right? That could be a reason to buy a house because you're investing, and the purpose is to take advantage of the increased value of your home and use it for a financial cushion or to invest further. Actually, a great reason to buy a house that people don't really talk about very often is to fix their living expenses. Sometimes people say, you should buy a house when you're young, you're 25, 30, 35, 40. There really isn't a point in buying a house when you're much older because, it takes usually 30 years. No, you'll be so old and blah, blah. Well, that's kind of more if you're interested in it in terms of, buying low, selling high, taking the money and doing something else with it. Or if the idea in your mind is to at one point live without having to pay a mortgage or paying rent, right? Then that argument would make sense. But there's another really great argument for buying a house even when you're older. And that argument is you want to fix your living expenses. People don't talk about that very often. Look at some place like DC, okay? 20 years ago, no, not even 20, 10 years ago, people could get a place in a decent part of town, one bedroom, whatever. Maybe you could find something that you like that was very reasonable for $1,000 a month. Same place, right? Renting still $2,500 a month. Wages haven't really gone up, right? So, but your expenses have gone up. Your income has not gone up. That's just the economy that we're living in now, right? What would have happened? Let's say you're 70. Let's say you're 70 at that point. What would have happened if you had been 70 years old at that point, and you said, you know what? I'm going to buy a house at 70. Well, are you gonna, if you plan to, riding up to 30 years? No. Well, what if they're like, I want to fix my living expenses? Because what I want to be able to do is, I've recently retired, I'm on a fixed income. I want to be able to anticipate what I'll have coming out every month. So I'm not going to be held hostage by my landlord, who every year sends me a notice and says, oh, by the way, Why? Well, we painted the common area, and basically because they can. Because other people have come into the neighborhood, and therefore we're raising your rent, right? So your choice is to either pay it or get out. If you simply purchased, right, at whatever age you're at, if you simply purchased your home, you need to do two things possibly. One, you're fixing your expenses. So now you are in control over how much money you have to spend every month on your most basic expense, which is your shelter, right? So you're saying, well, I'm not interested necessarily, I don't care so much about any equity. I'm not sitting here hoping and praying, oh, I hope my house gets up to $700,000. You don't care. What you're thinking about is, I want to make sure that I'm okay. So even if I never get $1 of equity from this house, you know it will. But even if that never happens, that's not even my expectation. What I'm interested in is preserving what I have. I bought this house at this time, fixed rate, right? Fixed rate. So now I know this is what it's going to be. And once you have a baseline, you can start planning all different kinds of things. And now, it's great. We've had a period of time since the recession where historically the interest rates have been pretty low, right? And people have been pushing for a little bit of inflation. Just because things have been so low, there's no interest, you're not getting any interest on your deposits. It's been sort of bad if you're a person with assets, right? But if you're a person that doesn't have assets yet, you know, maybe it's not so bad. Let's say you have a fixed rate. Let's say you got a fixed rate note and the interest rate is low right now, but you got it, you got your note, you have a fixed rate, you know what your expenses are going forward. For however long you're living in that house, you know exactly what you have coming out for your monthly mortgage. Well, what's going to happen probably in the next 5 to 10 years definitely is that interest rates, they're going to have to go up. They can't really go down. So they're going to go up. So what that means is you're going to be paying your note with inflated dollars. So what that means is it's going to be cheaper for you when you have a fixed rate. That's another benefit. You kind of have money working for you. Because now, when you have inflated dollars, things are cheaper if you have a fixed rate. There are a lot of reasons to buy a house, but there are so many of them that you have to just make sure that the reason that you're buying is good for you. Now, talking about family law context, I meet a lot of people who are not married, which is fine, just dating, just living together, and they decide to jump into the housing market together, not married. Well, they figure it'll be cheaper. They can instead of splitting rent, they can split a mortgage, and then they can have equity. Now, can anyone think of any problems that might arise with two people who are madly in love but not married, jump into real estate together? Yes. Yes. Can anyone think of one reason why that might be problematic? Separate. Oh, I thought love was forever. It's not?
Not all the time.
Wow. They separate. And, you know, this happens in the family law context, which is difficult. But why it's in particular tricky in the context when people are not married is, one, people don't think about it. People think, oh, well, this is fun, we're already living together, it doesn't really matter, we can just save this way. And then what happens is, someone gets mad, someone moves out, and they say, okay, well fine, you keep the house, it doesn't matter, I'm gonna live my new life. Well, if you've been living in that house for a while, that house may have appreciated. Maybe you brought that house in Mount Pleasant or Brooklyn sometime 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And now that your relationship is over, you've moved out. They said, well, I'm going to keep up with the note. And say, oh, fine, bye. Goodbye, I don't care. Well, you might get a call from the bank. Sarah's not keeping up on the note. They're going to look for you to pay that note. You're like, well, I'm not living here, I don't care. You're still the note. Right? That's a problem. Now, how do you fix that? Well, don't baby. That's the best reason. But now that you're in a situation, what do you do? Well, you can have the court separated. Expensive, time-consuming. It's not that expensive, but it's time-consuming. You don't want to get the court involved in something like this. That's difficult. Get the court to sell it, sell the house, and split the proceeds. You could try to have your partner refinance the house. That's probably going to be the first thing they're going to try to do. But the problem with that is, what if they're not in a position to refinance? What if they have bad credit now and they can't refinance? It's tricky. It's really, really tricky. And I've got a lot of friends that do this. And they tell me about it. And they have housewarmings. But probably the worst possible thing that could happen because of all of this is the fact that, does anyone know what the phrase, wow.
What?
Let me put it this way. Do you know one of the best benefits of being married is in terms of if you have debt? No. It's a thing called tenancy of the entireties, or sometimes by the entireties. You don't really know about it. But what it means is, if you're married and you have a debt together, that marital debt, that debt that you have together as a married couple, not just if you're dating, but if you're married, that debt that you have as a couple, if there's some creditor that exists for one of the couples, they can't attack that marital debt. They can't try to take that home away from you because the debt is marital. It's considered a unit. It's a policy decision because they want to protect the assets of the marital union. And that marital union is considered to be separate and distinct from individual debt. So what does that mean? Well, let's say you're dating Bob and you guys have a house together and you're in Columbia Heights and it's wonderful and life is great and you think that this is going to be forever and you don't want to get married because marriage is for old people and you guys are new age and you're just sitting there loving each other, and then, well, what happens? No, you stay together because love is forever. No. Well, this is what happens. You realize that your partner has all this debt because maybe he's been good timing it in Columbia Heights with bars while you've been doing something more productive, perhaps he's racking up credit card debt, and the creditor comes knocking. You guys are in that nice place, that nice condo, that has all that equity, and that creditor wants their part of it. Now, the problem is you guys aren't married. Ordinarily, if you're married, you could say, hey, marital asset, you can't touch this house, you can't touch this condo because this is a different type of debt. But because you aren't married, they could just put a petition down there at DC Superior Court, get that judge, partition that condo, creditor. I mean, I'm giving you worst case scenario.
Whoa.
And it would be DC. DC has some housing protection, but I'd say Maryland. Maryland is much worse for that. But this is the general process. This is the general process for how this happens. Is that there are certain protections that go to married couples and certain protections that you don't get if you're not married. Sometimes it is better not to be married. It just depends. There are all sorts of legal issues that become involved when you get into home ownership, when you get into whether to be married or not to be married. And anything that you do really is fine, but you just have to kind of know the risks of what you're going into. Another one that I've seen a lot, which is very interesting, is the whole just put my name on the deed idea. Well, I'm sure you can think of what's wrong with that. You have a note, you've been paying it. Oh, my friend, actually my good friend did this. I was shocked. She has a house, family house, lives in Petworth. They've lived there for 20 years, this family house. Family house, she was the only child, they gave this house to her. She started dating this guy.
No.
And he was wonderful. He helped out around the house. And he said, well, you know what? I don't believe in marriage because I don't need a piece of paper to show the world that we're in love. But I would feel better, and I would feel like you loved me if you put my name on the deed.
Oh.
And she kind of paused because, well, she's like, well, this is my parents' house, and they, you know, and then they died, and I'm the only child. He's like, well, but I thought we were in love, and I've been helping out in the house, and I'm a handyman for you, and I do all this work for you, and I feel like you're not letting me put my name on the deed means that there's something that maybe we could never get married. Maybe this is just not working out. Maybe that's just something that I don't want to do. And what did she do? She put his name on the deed. And what does that mean now? That means that although he's just contributed nothing to the house monetarily, that her parents 20 years ago purchased, right? First generation immigrants, house now has worth $700,000. It's man that she met, who contributed nothing, now has a 50% interest.
Oh boy.
That's a good gift. You can put a dollar figure on it. For her, for him at least, love equals $350,000. Think about it. I mean, that's all I'm saying, is that there are consequences for things that people do, things that you do, all of these documents, whenever you want to change ownership, whenever you want to change title to something, everything has effects, repercussions, and you just need to know what you're doing. And before you do anything, I would suggest tell a lawyer, figure out what could happen, figure out the worst case scenario. There may be in the universe some good reason why my friend put her boyfriend on that deed. I don't know what that is. I don't know. I've been trying to think about for 2 years what that good reason might be. But maybe there is a good reason. But you need to at least know what the pitfalls are before you move. Right? Yes. Okay. Well, questions? Yes.
To make a long story short, what is the right thing to do?
In what situation?
What you're explaining to people. Or if one person buys a house and then you join them and you said you love each other and then afterward they split up and so on, what do you do?
Well, one thing you have to understand is that everything has risks, right? So you have to think about the relationship. I mean, and what's the purpose for the purchase? So if you think, I want to buy in this neighborhood, for example, and we're in love and all that, but I want to buy in this neighborhood because I think it'll be a good investment. Then you're thinking about it not necessarily as a permanent place where you live, but you're thinking about it in terms of, I think I'm going to make X dollars in X years if I buy this asset. And the only way that I can do that is if I get his money too, and we're in on it together. Okay, to me, yeah, you guys are in love, but that's also a business. So now that it's a business, you want to make sure you have an agreement. In writing, signed, right? Preferably notarized as well. Because so many things can happen. Like the flipping world is dangerous. It's very, you don't know what's going to happen. But I think if you're going to do that, and I would do this if I were, well, I wouldn't do it, but if I did do it, I would have an agreement. I would have an agreement written down, signed, that spells out exactly what's going to happen should certain events occur. And that way, there'll be an understanding.
Okay.
family law.
Yes.
Couple separate themselves out before they do legal separation. So when they go to, how will that all play out?
They sold the house?
Yes, before they put any type of divorce papers in.
Okay.
So but one wants to buy a home. Does that become marital property?
Okay, they're not divorced yet?
They're not even legally separated yet. They just freed themselves of the house. So one wanted to buy a house with the money that they got from the house when they split.
Okay.
So would that new house that the one bought become marital property to the both?
You know what, technically, see, there is an argument to be made either way. They are buying property when they are married, right? So, or converting property. The money that they receive from the sale of that house is marital property, right? They split, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking about this person purchasing another property before they're actually
Anything.
anything.
They haven't legally, haven't divorced.
Technically it is. Technically it's something that's acquired during the marriage. But it's an argument that can be made in equity. Family law is supported in equity. So it's an argument to be made that they were not divorced, but they had separated. They were are they living in different places? Are they having marital relations?
No.
Okay, well that's an argument that can be made. That while, it's not necessarily something that a court has signed off on, you are now, whatever. They're separated for all real purposes. They are living separate lives, they are not sharing.
And actually, even though it's not legal in Maryland, I know you can do it in DC. He was in the basement while they were together, she was upstairs.
That's tricky. It's called Ricketts, is the case in Maryland. And it's the name of the couple. And then so that's it's tricky because it doesn't actually deal with whether you can get a divorce, it deals with whether you can do a separation. People try to use that case for.
But that's only in DC, right? Because you can do that.
No, Maryland. Maryland, Ricketts is a Maryland case. So be careful with that because depending on the judge you get, if the judge reads the case exactly how it's written, they might not let you get a divorce. But bottom line is, for that case, I think there is an argument to be made definitely that is not property that needs to be divided in a divorce. But they are being risky. Like when I say there's a risk for everything, that is a risk. That other spouse could say, we're still married. Where's my part?
And when you throw a special needs child in the middle of that, what is the requirement for child support to be paid for a special needs child?
It may never end. Okay.
Really?
It may not. I mean, whenever you throw a child into the mix of anything, it becomes very, very tricky. Is this a minor?
Well, actually, what one of the parties did was they made sure that the special needs child was 18.
Yeah.
Before they made this decision.
Yeah.
But will they have to, child support is like no more than that.
It depends. It depends on the judge. Maryland, that may be a further issue.
Right. Yeah.
But in general, the issue, the topic for today is just simply that there are a lot of complications, there are a lot of repercussions for things that you do. So if you're ever going to make any of those serious changes, talk to a professional, whether it's a lawyer like me, or a tax professional, or whomever that can give you expert advice on whatever you think you might be interested in so that you don't make a mistake that you cannot change. Okay. What is that? I don't know. Everyone does a premature. Everyone which everyone should do. You can do the post nut too.
Don't take it away.